We back, baby. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now so that you don't miss a thing. You are now tuned into the system behind the system. Welcome back to the Neo DaVinci Show. And on today's episode, we're going to dive deep into the evolution of modern medicine. I have an amazing guest joining me today. Her name is Dr. Linda McCormick, and she's based out of Houston, Texas, with a specialty in pharmaceuticals. She has firsthand seen the evolution of medicine over her career and has even taken place in some of the advancements and innovations that we now have today. So I know we are in for a treat. So buckle up your seatbelts and let's get ready for the evolution of modern medicine. Well, Dr. McCormick, thank you for jumping on here today and being a guest on the Neo DaVinci Show. I got connected with you through 3 International, which is a brand that I've grown to really love and appreciate. I was skeptical about it, like I am about a lot of things, but the product is amazing. I'm glad that I got connected to you through it. Just while we're here and to start off, just tell the people about how you got started in your profession and kind of where
Sure.
you're at these days.
Okay, I will. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity, to kind of share my knowledge because I've got a lot of it over the years and years I've been in the medical field. So my career started in the pharmaceutical industry, and a
Hmm.
long time ago, like almost 30 years ago, believe it or not. And so I've seen a lot of changes, right? But that's where I started, and my role for the last quite a few years has been in drug development. And
Hmm.
so global drug development. So I ran the global medical affairs for a couple of large pharmaceutical companies that you know of. And so what that means is getting a little compound approved that's just an idea in a lab all the way to the FDA, to the European Medical Association, to the Japanese,
Wow.
regulatory agent all over the world.
So you've
And
seen that whole
so,
process and you've worked through
absolutely,
the whole process from start to finish.
from start to
Amazing.
finish, yeah. And that I've managed some field scientists, so it wasn't just a role where I was sort of above everything and not hearing what was really the pulse,
Oh
because
yeah.
I managed people in the field that were absolutely talking to doctors. I was one of those field people for a while that actually, had conversations with physicians and medical professionals. So I've seen a lot of changes, but now I took a package about 3 years, almost 3 years ago, and I've done a big 180. So my career was really focused on sickness and disease and,
Mm-hmm.
trying to find populations of patients that we could treat. And frankly, you know, make money because the drug industry is not philanthropic. It's
Hmm.
it's a moneymaker, and it's innovative because of that, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
attract in that industry a lot of the top minds and everything. So we have the most innovative drug development in the world in the United States.
I like that. It keeps it competitive, you
Yeah.
know? People
Mm-hmm.
are striving to do better and to do more. And, we want to help people, of course,
Yeah,
but adding that line to it as well, it keeps it competitive. It keeps
absolutely.
innovation growing. And I love innovation.
Mm. Yeah. And that motivation for that innovation comes, you see it in the United States. You don't see it in a lot of other countries. We're starting to actually see it in China. China's
Really?
drug development is really ramping up. So they've gotten pretty good at it. So, but anyway, that's where my career has been. And that 180 shift was really about not just trying to find the disease and the patient population we could treat, where we could make that money. We have to return on it costs a lot of money to put a drug through the
It
FDA.
does.
Like not just a million or two, it's like 60 million, 80 million, even over that, depending on, how long the clinical trials will go on. And they're going on all over the world. And you're paying physicians and you're paying patients, to do these clinical trials. And you're paying
Hmm.
to be in journals and to publish and to travel
Yeah.
to different meetings. I mean, it's just there's it's a huge cost, and just to walk in the door at the FDA, there's a big chunk. It's a big chunk of money, so you got to make a return on it, or it's not worth it. And so, frankly, there's a lot of things that are left on the shelf that were probably really good drugs, but we just couldn't make the money on them, to bring them
Mm.
forward.
There's the like the nonprofit side, and people donate a lot to research and development for
Yeah.
new medications and breakthroughs. Have you seen that side too?
I have, because actually the drug companies that I've worked for do a lot of philanthropic things, like giving away free river blindness medicine to
Hmm.
folks in Africa, where why not, or we treat the most recent company, we give free TB medication. And we do have an endowment for that. And so there is a lot of that. We do give actually free medication to patients that can't afford it. Most of the drug companies will do that, if you
Hmm.
apply. So there are some of those. I haven't really seen where, I haven't been on, Doctors Without Borders or anything like that,
Okay.
myself, but a lot of folks that I've worked with have done that. So there is a spirit of wanting to help people, in general, in my experience. But it's a different lens,
Hmm.
it's it's a reactive treatment of disease. And now you'll see like the shift that I made was on the other side, the prevention side. And
I
you
like
did
that.
have pockets of doctors that I knew, right, in cardiovascular medicine and everything, that were all
Yeah.
about prevention, but it wasn't very sexy. It wasn't the thing
All
to
right.
do.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was, if you were a
It's
cardiologist, you
becoming
might,
sexier though, would you
it
say? It's becoming
is
more attractive these days. And I
absolutely.
look at it like we now have more options available.
Yeah.
And I love options. I love giving people the ability to choose, what works best for them and personalize what's going to be the route that they should take.
Yeah, and I think that's what you see now. You see, when I first started, which was a long time ago, right? It was, you diagnose and you treat. That's it.
Hmm.
Now, a big population. If you had high blood pressure, you got this. Now it's moving more towards precision medicine, towards
One of
personalized
my favorite
medicine.
words,
Yeah,
precision medicine. Love that.
that's right. And so where it's a huge change from when I started. I started, it was paper-based, you know?
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so just all of the administrative stuff that physicians have to go through now with insurance companies weren't like this huge monitoring body, You
Hmm.
wrote for a drug, you got it filled, the insurance company covered it, was no big deal.
What is the biggest evolution you've seen across your career?
Um, I think the biggest evolution probably is, if you want to talk about technology, it's, diagnostics and AI, of course,
Yeah.
we're seeing that now. And so AI is helping with the diagnostics. We're so good at diagnosing disease and even treating disease, right? We've gotten really good at treating various kinds of cancer that were a death sentence before, or
Hmm.
heart disease. We got that licked, but chronic disease is still on the rise. Heart disease is still on the rise. Even though we know how to treat it, we can treat it. We've come a long way in treatment and diagnosis, but not in prevention. We're still not there, you know.
Wow.
And I think a really huge deal for me too is participation, right? People
Hmm.
really are more educated, obviously, because they can look
Yes.
things up. I mean, the doctor couldn't even look things up. He had to go to the library when I started.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah. And go and actually go through the pages of the
Wait for
books.
the journal to come out.
Yeah.
Oh, when's it coming out? And then, run over there and look at it, or maybe they got it delivered. So,
I
just
tell
have,
people all the time, education is really like the biggest thing. And because when you're educated on what's happening and what options are available to you,
yes,
then you can make an educated decision. And so I tell people all the time, look, I'm here as much as I can to help you with education, learning, and assisting in that. But you're right, we have it at the palm of our hands now.
Too, but you know what? There's a lot of misinformation out there too, right? So they need, I think folks need somebody that they can trust, an expert that they can trust, that knows how to get to the bottom of the data and say, that's not real. Especially
Hmm.
now with AI and everything, that's going to just become more and more of a focus, right? What's the real and what's the misinformation? So, and I think we're going to get better at predicting with AI. That's what I think AI is going to allow us to do is predict who's going to respond to a medication, who's going to get sick, we can predict just the diagnostic platforms that are out there right now. So, yeah, I think patient participation, the technology itself, but you know what? The fundamentals haven't changed. I mean, lifestyle is still the biggest deal. I mean, we know that, before we used to, oh my gosh, the focus was really on infection. That was like our
Hmm.
big, hill to climb. Oh my gosh, it was like if we could just tackle this infection or acute care, like even cardiovascular disease or stroke and everything. But we really have that down now.
Nice.
But what we didn't realize is just how much, how important. Well, now we know what is really critical. Like the number one disease we all think about is obesity. It's obesity.
Yeah,
It takes it
it's
takes the
risen.
top, it takes the top role.
Hmm.
Obesity and heart disease is still up there. But what hasn't changed is the fundamentals. We need to focus on stress, sleep, moving. We need to move, move, move. Motion is
Yeah.
lotion, right? And your lifestyle.
I'm all about promoting that.
Yeah. I mean, those things used to be just like, yeah, do they really affect our health? I don't
They
know.
really do though.
But they do. And now you're seeing more and more medical professionals, physicians saying, yeah, now we know. You know why? We know the biology behind it. We know the biology
Hmm.
behind stress and what lack of sleep does to us. If once you show docs that evidence, they're in and it's there.
How do you see things like sleep, movement, nutrition, stress management playing a vital role alongside medicine and the medical
Yeah.
field?
I think, in fact, I mean, this people might disagree with me, but I almost feel like it's not 50-50. I feel like it's more important than medicine. Because if you
Hmm.
could do that stuff and do the prevention piece, then maybe the medicine won't have to come. Not in all cases. I mean, some folks just have a genetic predisposition to have high blood pressure or, diabetes or something like that. And it's not about their obesity or anything
Hmm.
else. It's just a metabolic gene kind of, abnormality they got saddled with, right?
But we have the advancements in medicine to help those people, and
Correct.
that's what I absolutely love.
Absolutely. We have those. But we cannot, there's so many people that wouldn't have diabetes or hypertension or all of these other, even some of the GI diseases we have or the autoimmune diseases if the lifestyle was there, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, the smoking's gotten better. When I started, smoking was still kind of a big thing. I had one physician tell me, when I'm in Houston, Texas, and we
Hmm.
have the largest medical center in the world, believe it
In
or
Houston,
not.
Texas? Are you
Houston,
kidding?
Texas,
I
yeah.
didn't know that. Where
And
is that?
it's downtown, in Houston. Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's where I spent much of my time in my early career. And I even got my PhD right there in the medical center. I know it like the back of
Awesome.
my hand, but to me, I mean, that I had one physician say this whole thing wouldn't be here if it wasn't for smoking, the GI, the
Wow.
cancer,
Wow.
all of that stuff. And we've done that has really decreased in the United States. It's not socially cool anymore to smoke,
Mm.
you know. So that's a good thing. So we've done some things right, right? But most chronic diseases have a lifestyle component. When you look at people that are suffering from even back pains and stuff. It's
Mm.
movement, right? Maybe they weren't moving. Maybe, they've gotten sedentary. And I think sitting is more of our issues now, right? People do a lot of sitting in front of a computer
Yeah.
and,
Yeah,
you
they're
know,
saying sitting's the new smoking.
yeah, right. Because there's even a risk score you can attribute to your risk of dying earlier, more mortality and morbidity, and not
Mm.
having a great, health span, if you're sitting too much. And so, yeah, they've added sitting and frailty. So we can't get too
Okay.
frail. We have to build the muscle, right? And so I think, you probably know I'm sure you see
Yeah.
it with the,
Yeah, those are two things that I like strongly work on with people in my work. So hearing you say that just kind of validates that what we're doing is the right path to take.
yeah.
And I've worked with a lot of different people, and the reality is that working on sleep, trying to optimize your nutrition,
Ah,
saying no to the cookie and yes to the broccoli, like that's not easy. That is
oh,
not easy. It is so much easier to just take a medication, and
yeah.
from all the people that I've worked with, I've had a lot of people tell me like I don't want to like have to try hard. I don't want to have to like work on, my nutrition.
I think too, what we're realizing is that it's not just about willpower all the time.
Mm,
So some people just have a better GLP signaling system than others. Like I can see it in my own kids. I got one of my sons, he has never finished his plate. He's always like, I'm full, I'm done, not a big sweet eater. He's like, And I have another one who's like, God bless him. He loves it and he struggles with it, So there's something different in their brains. The GLP signaling is a big deal. It tells, that when that GLP binds to that, what we call receptor, what does
mhm.
it do? It tells your brain whether you're full or you've reached satiety, we call it. It's the big word for it, but it's you're full or you're hungry, and it does something to food cravings, like it decreases food cravings. So no
Wow.
wonder people want to be on that drug, right?
Mm,
But and it's really important for people that are obese, where being obese is worse than the poison that you would think a drug, it's
mhm.
always drugs are
Yeah,
poison, and it's always a benefit risk ratio, right? But
right.
certain drugs are just absolutely necessary for certain people. And for some people that have that signaling messed up, they it's not their fault. And I think that's where we have to be, like you said, understanding and sympathetic with that, because it
Mm.
might not be a willpower thing. It might be just a different signaling
Yeah, and
mechanism. So,
I don't see myself never having a cookie, okay?
no,
Just
no
keeping it
way.
real. I've tried it. It sucks. It's boring. And,
No,
and and you're
life's
like,
too
I just
short.
gotta have that cookie. Yeah, life's too short. Don't stress yourself. I'm
No.
sure not going to. But you're right. It's about moderation. And
Yeah.
some people will say like, moderation is not the key. No, that's where that personal choice lives,
Yes.
is how much of that is going to work for you. And if you want to go over what is maybe considered moderate, that's your choice.
Yeah.
But at least you're educated on the decision.
It's funny because when you're talking about patients and talking to patients or clients or folks you want to behavior change, right?
Hmm.
It's such a tough thing to do. It really is. And people they may not remember exactly what you told them, but they remember how you made them feel. So
Right.
if you're going to make them feel bad
Very
and feel,
important.
like
Yes,
guilty,
I've done that. I've done that. I've, not trying to, but
yeah,
in my passion to want to help them become healthier, I'm like, here's everything you need to do, and this is what science says, and
so frustrating.
studies show dot 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 dot, and then it's like, yeah, but come on, like, did you hear what I just told you? I don't want to eat the broccoli. So, tell us a little bit about what you're currently doing in your career these days.
Yeah, so I'm with Three, the company that you mentioned, right? And
Hmm.
so when I left my pharmaceutical role, I kind of helped get this Three thing started. I don't own the any part of the company or anything like that, but a handful of us just really saw a need out there, right, for really good science-based backed supplements. The supplement industry is just so hard. I mean, it's not regulated by the FDA, which is really that was such a hard place for me because my
Why do you
whole
feel that
world.
is? Is it the funding? Is it like you were
Mm.
saying, it's hard to get into the FDA? Why do you think it's not?
So you had to have done the studies. These studies are so expensive and you can't recoup the money, right? So let's say I'm going to put a supplement out there. I'm going to go put it through the FDA and I'm going to spend $100 million
Hmm.
and I'm going to get it through. How are you going to make that money back? Who's going to pay a premium price for your supplement? I don't know. I just don't. Insurance isn't going to cover it. So how could they do that? So the facilities are they can be regulated. You have to look on
Hmm.
the label for for the right certifications that it was made in an FDA approved facility, but you don't have to show safety and efficacy. And that's like the bottom line you have to do. That's like baseline for a drug, right? It has to
Yeah,
be
right.
safe and effective. And you have to do a lot of studies. The thing about drugs though is remember, you're just trying to prove the concept. So you're like, we want to see if this thing works. So let's take
Hmm.
people with this kidney problem, okay? But we can't take them if they've got any other problems. It's got to be just this kidney problem. So we're going to exclude all these people. And then we can't be too old because they have, we're going to exclude all the older people. We're going to exclude young people, people of childbearing. So pretty soon you have this population you study that's just going to prove that it works.
Hmm.
But then when it gets approved and it's out in the market, everybody's using it and you might find something that's not safe that
Got you.
happens, right?
Yeah.
You might find somewhere where it's not effective or it doesn't work as well, or you have to change the dose or whatever. So,
Sounds like an opportunity for a personal approach with your physician.
yeah, right? It does.
Do you see three becoming FDA approved and kind of taking that route with some of their products and supplements?
I really don't. I don't think you
Okay.
have to.
Is there a need? You don't have to? Okay,
You really
yeah.
don't, because you would never be able to be competitive with the other stuff. People will go to the cheaper thing. They won't pay.
But it's backed by a panel of physicians.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
saying a lot.
It is. We do have like the largest scientific advisory board in the industry, and it's top-notch physicians like from Mayo Clinic, from gosh, all over Johns Hopkins, everywhere, and good backgrounds, scientists, researchers, and PhDs.
Hmm.
And and they don't get paid. And that's what's cool too, is our scientific advisory board is literally free advisors.
Wow.
And so they really believe in it too. They believe they're part of those physician groups they believe in prevention and trying to affect the curve of chronic disease that we've got in this country and all over the world, actually.
Products are great. I would have to say my favorite is the collagen. And
Yeah,
I love the naming behind it. It's
yeah.
French, right?
They're all French names, yeah.
Yeah. What would you say is the one that you like the most, and what is one of the most newest products you guys have?
The one that it's hard to say what you like the most, right? I like the
Right.
Vitalité,
Yeah.
Vitalité,
You
because
said
it's,
that really good.
yeah, I speak French.
You
But
do.
anyway,
Okay.
I studied there for a little bit. But anyway, the Vitalité it's like your multivitamin, and so
Hmm.
you get everything you need in there. And it's really
That's
cool.
the purple one?
No, it's just a little
No. Okay.
packet of
Oh
vitamin,
yeah. With
and
the
it's
yep, the
got the
capsules.
omega, it's got all your greens, it's got your berry blend, probiotics, prebiotics, postbiotics. It's got even got immune in there.
Hmm.
So it's that's a one of my favorites. But I really like Revive. I have to say. The Revive is the little orange, the little brownish orange ones. There are
Yeah.
inflammatory support, and man, you can really tell when you're on that and when you're not on that because I've tried it. And I remember, I'm older, obviously. And so, but I love working out, love it. And I ran track in college. So
Nice.
I've always been athletic. And, but boy, when I got older, I'm just like, so sore. I even asked my trainer, I said, what's the deal? I mean, what is this, lactic acid? Is it just my, he just was
Right.
like, well, I don't know, drink more water, whatever. And I just was like, oh, well, I'm going to just be sore when I get out of bed, just make noises, And so I'll try it. I was very skeptical. And
Hmm.
so I tried it and I didn't notice anything like first at first, but it was like a couple of weeks. And suddenly I'm like, you're just kind of like, wait a second, I'm not sore anymore when I get out of bed, or
Oh,
after my
snap.
workout.
Which
And
product was that?
it's Revive.
Okay.
It's wonderful for post-workout.
All
Wonderful.
right. And I didn't know that. So I'm still learning about the
Yeah.
international
But
and all the products.
I love collagen too. I'm on it and literally I never had good nails. I have to cut my nails. My hair, if you saw it down, it's made a huge difference. I'm not just saying this, my hairdresser, just every time I go, she's like, oh my gosh, cutting it. And I have an identical twin sister and she's same thing. She's on all the products too. And it's just funny. But they're all good products. They really are. And our newest one is our GLP-3. So we do
That
have,
is the newest one? Okay, I thought it
yeah,
was. All
it
right.
is. And it's the only GLP, you know, natural product. If there's a few that tout that they support be it GLP-1 and everything, but
Hmm.
ours is all natural. It's made from, it's a peptide complex and it's made from salmon and mushrooms. That's it. Totally
Mm.
natural. But
Wow.
what they found is in this salmon, um, this compound actually binds to the receptor, just like the
Okay.
GLP drugs. None of the other ones touch the receptor. There's nothing else out there like this. This is really a
Wow.
breakthrough.
Oh, so it
And
is
it's
set apart.
natural.
It's different.
It's very different. So what does it do? It binds and it does all those things, like tells your brain you're full, and it decreases the food cravings. But not only that, those GLP drugs and including GLP-3,
Hmm.
they're gonna really modulate your metabolism, right? And also your metabolic health. So your insulin sensitivity, all of those things the reasons why Ozempic is used for diabetes, right? Is because
Right.
it decreases that insulin resistance and helps that blood sugar stabilization. So and so it does all of those things. Now it's just a dropper under the tongue. And with the drugs, they're injection or some of them are oral. They're coming out with oral pills, but they have a really long, what we call half-life. They last all week. So
Mm.
they really slam the receptor. And so, if you want to be on a drug that really is potent and it's just slamming that receptor and doing all
Hmm.
that, then you got to do the injection or one of those potent ones. Ours blocks all
Gotcha.
three GLP receptors, which not block, activates all the receptors. There's GLP-1, GLP-2, and GIP. So those
Oh,
all
okay.
work and do different things. But one, gut health and stabilizing the blood sugar, and then that satiety control. But um, the ours is really acting just like the drug, but you
Mm.
got to do it every day. And some people have to do it twice a day. I just keep it in my purse and do it in the morning or, just it's 30 minutes before a meal. And I just keep it in my pocket or in my purse and just do it because it has a shorter half-life. It acts more like your own natural GLP. And the
Mm.
GLP is supposed to do this, bind to its effect and come off. Do this and activate that receptor and come off. More of a pulsatile thing, right? Instead of like slamming it and doing all these
Yeah.
other things. And that, there's nausea with the drugs, there's muscle loss. The muscle loss is the huge deal. But anytime you lose weight really fast, you're gonna the
Now, do you
muscle.
see that with GLP-3? the
I
muscle
haven't
loss?
seen no, and actually we have some data that shows that we increase lean muscle.
Yeah.
So whether that's because
Okay.
people aren't nauseous and they can work out, or I don't know, but there's a definite increase in lean muscle mass.
Awesome. With GLP-3 or GLP-1 being very popular right now,
Mm.
GLP-3 gives another option for
Yeah.
people who may want to try to go more of the natural route,
Mm-hmm.
but it's obvious that GLP-1 is a little more aggressive, and you know you're everyone that I've seen on it has gotten the results they're looking for. But I want to ask the GLP-3, what does the results look like? Does it vary?
Yeah, I think what the thing with the GLP-3 is it's very personal. So like for me, I can do it once in the morning, maybe another time during the day, and I'm good. Some people they need to do it a couple times for sure, or three times. Even my sister, she's struggling. She's not really seeing the similar. She's had to really figure out like a different time of
Hmm.
day. Like for her, she has to do it in the evening because that's when her cravings are the worst. And so she has to make sure she gets a dose. So that's kind of what I like about it, though, is because you're in control. You're totally in control. If I was on a drug that was an injection and I got my injection and I felt sick you'd be a week before you could feel better because you got to wait for it to get out of your system, right? And this one, we have control. The
You can
results,
modulate a little bit.
yeah, and we have had phenomenal results. People are losing weight. Oh my gosh, changing lives. I mean, it's a huge, huge deal. And what we haven't seen is the rebound weight gain. And that's one of the huge problems with the GLP drugs is once they get off, they have that rebound weight gain. You'll see it in all the conferences and all the literature. What do we do about muscle loss? What do we do about rebound weight gain? And maybe if they're considering going off of their GLP-1 drug, they could transition on the natural product and then slowly get off, right?
And
Of
hopefully
their
all
GLP-1.
along they're on a fitness program
Right.
and working out with someone like myself who's going to make sure that they maintain that muscle,
Yeah,
helping coach them through those lifestyle habits that are going to keep it going even
absolutely.
after they come off GLP-1 and maybe transition to a GLP-3, and then eventually it's just lifestyle maintaining it. That would be the perfect situation, the
It
perfect
would be.
scenario, right?
Yeah. But there's nothing wrong with being on GLP-3 for ever. I mean, it's just salmon and mushrooms.
I
You know what I
love it.
mean? So,
It's fish and mushrooms. I love
yeah.
it.
So anyway, but it's
So,
been really fun.
so where do you see the future of healthcare? I know this is a big question, and the medical industry, with everything we just discussed,
Yeah.
we're talking taking medication and exercising and working out, with different options of supplements all meshing together. Where do you see that future going for us?
I think we are bombarded, right, with supplements and with you better take this, you better that, fermented this, and da da da, and it's confusing. And I think as long as we have folks like yourself that are really educating themselves so that you can be that for your clients. They need a trusted space to go to where they can get real information. That's one thing,
Mm,
because we are going to see a lot of misinformation out there. We're seeing it already. But I do see this trend away from obviously reactive medicine to prevention.
mm,
It's becoming more mainstream to be thinking about sleep and stress management and exercise and nutrition. Physicians don't
mm,
get that training in medical school. They just don't. They still don't. Maybe they will. Maybe we'll start seeing that. That would be my hope, that
mm.
they would start getting more nutrition and lifestyle training in medical school because that will change things. But, I think we're starting in an era where technology is really it can help us understand things, and address different things. We're going to see technology, AI, da, da, da. But I just really don't think I don't think technology is going to help us live longer. I think
Mm,
um, I think it's going to be more about our own personal, like you said, education and that precision medicine, that
mm,
personalized medicine is going to become more and more, um, you know, more and more mainstream. But that biggest surprise for me, has really been no matter what happens with our knowledge around disease and all the advances that we've had, we still see that what matters most is the fundamentals. We have to manage the stress. We have to have a purpose in our life, right?
mhm,
And I think human connection remains important. Nutrition, and that lifestyle modification. We're going to be better. I think people are going to be determining their own health more and more. And,
mm.
before it used to be whatever the doctor says. My dad used to say that. I'd argue and go, I don't know if he's really right about that. He said, hey, the doctor said it. I'm paying him, and that's what we're
Mhm.
going to do. And
Well, now
so,
you are a doctor. Pretty
but
cool.
yeah, but the human biology hasn't changed. So, we have to, I really hope and think, I really see it that all of that fundamental stuff that matters is
Mhm.
still going to be important. And it's not changing. So
Well, that's music to my ears because that's what I've spent the last 10 to 15 years
yeah,
trying to work with people and coach them on doing better at
yeah.
is those lifestyle habits. I'm very passionate about it. And so hearing that just really, resonates with me deep down.
Yeah, it's huge. People like my trainer here in Houston, he
Hmm.
reminds me, you guys are probably very like-minded,
You should connect us.
I know, I really should because the nutrition, they're all, certified and all kinds of nutrition,
Hmm.
and I think it's just so important. It's not just about going to a gym and working out anymore.
Hmm.
You have to know that patient, that client, and have a relationship with them and really get at where they're coming from, right? And supportive, you know, rather than boot camp, right?
Yeah, for
So,
sure. We still can do the boot camp
we
though.
can, yeah,
Yeah. We're not gonna let go of that. It's fun and it does get results. But you're
yes,
right, that support. And one of the biggest things I like to support people in is when, they leave their physician's office and or even with a dietitian and they're given, some homework to do at home. I'm
yeah,
like, yo, bring that in.
yeah,
And I want to help you implement that stuff and work with you on that. And that way, the next time you have a visit with your physician, they're seeing that you're getting the results that they
right.
expected if you follow through.
Right. And that's kind of what I was getting at is like we're bombarded with all this stuff. And they need somebody that can just kind of help them carry it
Mhm.
through and follow it through. And even me, who I consider myself pretty educated and motivated, to work out and everything, I need that trainer to keep me accountable because
We all do.
life will always get in the way. I have six grandchildren. I'm taking
Mm.
care of a newborn right now. I can't believe I'm even making complete sentences. No sleep right now. It's really bad, but I know it's temporary because I'm going to get back to my good sleep habits.
Yeah,
But anyway,
it's worth it.
I need that accountability. And they've been messaging me, and I'm going to start my working out next week again. And I know if these guys, I've known them for years, and I go in there and I know I'm gonna, it's a home, it's like a, family you know? So it's a really, that's what you guys create, all of you out there. And we need more of you out there.
So we've laid quite a few options out here on the table, and I know there are more out there. And I think that's the most powerful takeaway from this conversation today is that we all have more options available.
Yes,
The thing is being educated on those options and having a team of people
right.
help you work through what's going to be the best decision for
Mm,
you to make for yourself, your lifestyle, and what you want out of your life.
And it's exciting, right? It's a
It
optimistic,
is.
hopeful, it's a very empowering place to be, actually.
Thank you
Mhm.
so much for coming on here
Oh,
today and doing the show with me, Dr. McCormick.
my pleasure. It was wonderful.
So there you have it. Let's give a big thanks to Dr. Linda McCormick for giving us a clear picture on what that evolution has looked like over time to where we are today with modern medicine. All in all, it's a personal choice, right? We have freedom of choice. This is the land of the free and the home of the brave. That's the one thing that I absolutely love about this country is freedom and freedom of choice. You get to choose what you want for your life, and you get to choose what you want for your health, even more importantly. I hope you enjoyed this episode just as much as I did today. And if you haven't yet, check us out at davinciengineered.com. If you have any follow up questions, put them in the comments or reach out to me personally at International Da Vinci on all platforms. And I will see you next week on the Neo DaVinci Show.